I told you before about one of my old jobs. I worked at Golfsmith. I didn't get into as much detail about it. We got paid on commission. I mentioned that. Anyway, this is what helped contribute to my leaving. When I got hired, the manager went over stuff with me, the usual stuff. This is how the store works. And he said, and I quote, said, "If you steal someone else's commission, I will fire you." He said, I don't deal in that. I don't want to do that. So I was like, okay, I won't do that. Because the commission wasn't much, but it was enough that people would compete over who could sell the most. If a customer came up and they said nobody helped them, well, congratulations, that became your commission. A lot of people did that. You weren't supposed to do that, but everybody that worked there did that. And the guys that were the most likely to steal commissions, you won't believe this, were the guys that were doing missionary work, that were like, they worked there part-time, but worked as like youth ministers and missionaries in their church. They were the most likely people to do some underhanded stuff. There's one guy in particular, I couldn't stand him. He worked part-time. He was always whistling. And I know what you're thinking, well, what's wrong with whistling? Well, imagine working with somebody for 8 hours and they whistle every single song that comes on. Every single song. And not just to start with, they will whistle the whole song. It will drive you up the wall. It will make you, because I mentioned it to another guy and he didn't notice it until I mentioned it. He told me, he said, "I wish you hadn't told me." I started noticing it and I hated it so much. And we would tell him, please don't whistle every song. "Oh, well, man, I just, whatever." But this guy, one time, a guy came in and I helped him with a bunch of stuff. I helped him with, what happened was, I think his golf clubs and other stuff had been stolen from his house. And your insurance will cover it in a roundabout way, but it takes time. Like property, do a claim. And he came in to get everything he had and get fitted for everything he had. So I fit him for the clubs, picked everything out, and he was going to come in the next day and pick it up and pay for it. So I got everything together, put my name on it, and was going to come in. I think I was a closer the next day. I was going to come in at lunchtime. No big deal. That happened all the time. People would come in. I'll come and buy stuff tomorrow. If you work retail places, there's a less than 50% chance they're coming back tomorrow. But the guy came back, and old Buddy the Whistler, that I guess that shall be his name, helped him pick out a hybrid, like one extra club. Well, the Whistler decided, well, I helped him with that. I don't really give a shit whose name's on the new order. I'm going to put every last one of them in my name. Well, I came back in just as the guy was leaving, and I chatted with him, and then I went up, clocked in, and said, "Hey, he got all the stuff?" Yeah, he got all the stuff." "All right, well, you put that was my sale. You put everything in my name." "Well, I helped him with that hybrid, so I put everything in my name." I said, "What? Why would you do that? I had my name on it and everything. You helped him with the hybrid. You can put that in your name, because you could put individual items in other people's names. That happened all the time. I helped him buy shoes. You helped him with that club. You get credit for that. I get credit for that." And the money would go at the end of the month. But I lost. It was a fair bit of money on that transaction because he just ignored my note. It was like, I know it doesn't sound like much, but it was $20 in commission, which is a lot. That's a good solid day's worth of commission that guy stole from me. So I get mad because I already can't stand the guy because he's always whistling and just generally being a pain in the ass, taking long breaks, longer lunches, just won't do anything you tell him. So I go to my manager. I'm like, he just took my commission. I helped this guy with everything last night. You can look at the cameras. You need to do something about this. You told me if I ever took anybody's commission, you would fire them, or you would fire me. I want you to do something about this, because he is just taking a lot of money out of my pocket, and I'm mad. He, of course, goes up to the guy, and the guy's like, well, I helped him with a couple of other things, and I didn't see your name on it. I said, I left it here last night. My name was on, like, the rangefinder we picked out for him. I had taped it to it. I said, there's no way you couldn't have noticed that. There's no way. You just didn't care, and you have no integrity. Because it was even more bothersome because he did it and just didn't care. And he was a missionary that was going to plant a church in, like, Nepal in a couple months. And all he talked about was that. And the manager's like, well, it doesn't sound like it sounds like he took a couple things. I mean, it was an accident. I said, you're not going to do anything about this? You've taken money out of my pocket, and he just gets to do whatever, nothing happens to him? I said, look, I'm not going to work with him again. It pretty much got to a situation where I almost said either he goes or I go. And that was just the last straw. My manager didn't do anything, wouldn't do anything, because he believed the guy for those stupid reasons, even though he told me. Because that's what will lower morale anywhere you work, is inconsistency. If you got one person that comes in late and nobody says anything to them, and then you come in late once and they're like, hey, you need to start being more punctual, that's annoying. Or somebody leaves early or comes to work and doesn't do what they're supposed to do and nothing happens to them, but you mess up on one thing, it'll drive you crazy. And that drove me crazy, and that led me to just stop caring. I told my manager, well, look, if there's no consequences, I'm taking every last thing, every last sale he does from now on. He's like, well, no, you can't do that. I said, well, you need to make this right. He owes me $20. You need to get him to pay me $20. I said, because he stole it from me, and you just didn't do anything. And he's like, well, I'll talk to him, but no promises. And he's like, I talked to him, because he didn't get us together, which he should have done, so we could have hashed it out like adults, but he didn't. So I started looking for new jobs, and I lined something up and left a couple weeks later.